Bye, Gidget.
Hey, Max.
Hey, Gidget.
Any plans today?
Yes, big stuff today, Gidget. I got big plans. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait for Katie to come back.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Well, I won't interrupt. I've got a very busy day, too.
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Matt Atchity. This is William Bibbiani. We are here to talk about The Secret Life of Pets, an animated film. William, will you tell us what's
Yes,
this one
I
about?
will. Yes, I will. The Secret Life of Pets. It's a secret.
Yeah, okay. It's not that big a secret. They're
No,
showing
it's
it in
not.
theaters.
No, you know what this movie is? This movie is every kind of lost pet movie you've ever seen. Like, it's not maybe as dark as Plague Dogs, but you got like your Homeward Bound, your Adventures of Milo and Otis. It's two adorable pets. They get lost. They have to find their way home. They get in a series of madcap adventures with a bunch of other animals. Kind of Bob's your uncle there, but it works. And I think it's an effective story because everyone loves their pets. And you can kind of tell that this movie kind of emerged from the sort of YouTube generation of pet clips. Okay. The idea that we keep seeing our pets do funny things and we keep humanizing them in very casual ways, not necessarily super dramatic ways. This isn't a very dramatic movie. It's very slight.
Let's watch the trailer. All right, so I thought this movie was fine.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's fine. It's fine. Like, you know, and I know that sounds like I'm damning it with faint praise, but look, we live in the Pixar era. And the Pixar movies, 9 times out of 10, they're great, right? I mean, Finding Dory had me in tears. I thought, look, like Finding Dory may not be quite as great as Nemo, but goddamn, it's still really good. And I found this one, you know, where we're at now is Pixar is hitting these grand slam home runs consistently that when somebody hits, you know, a stand-up triple, you're like, meh. Like, and look, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this movie.
No,
right?
Not really, no.
But it doesn't hit the level of emotional intensity that your average Pixar film does. And so I found myself like kind of checking my watch a little bit.
I agree, and I think what's interesting is that we're comparing it to Pixar. Obviously, they're all both CG animated movies for kids. There's a lot of anthropomorphic animals, blah, 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 blah. That happens a lot. But this is trying to be a different kind of genre than a lot of Pixar movies. This is actually more of a slight comedy. This is more of a Home Alone 2, Lost in New York kind of comedy. But whereas Pixar is trying to tell great big fables. I interviewed Pete Docter once, the director of Inside Out. And I asked him, why does every Pixar movie seem intent on destroying the emotions of little kids? And he made the argument that we respond to things emotionally, and things have more of an impact when we respond to them emotionally. So if there's a scene like in Bambi where Bambi's mom dies, you will remember that forever. Whereas if you watch The Fox and the Hound and you're sort of amused by it, it doesn't really have the same impact. Secret Life of Pets is a slight comedy. It's about a bunch of different kooky characters. Some of the comic set pieces are rather ingeniously invented. I thought they used a sense of scale and height and the sort of geography of New York City in very interesting ways. But there's really only like one moment where it has that huge emotional connection. I'm not going to ruin it for you. Suffice to say, it's about the backstory of one of the dogs. And even that doesn't play terribly well because it's kind of academic. We're sort of told something happened. To use the Bambi's mom analogy, we don't actually see Bambi's mom die in Bambi. Spoilers for Bambi, which is 75 years old. But we don't actually see her die, but it's very clear what happened. It's visualized. But if we had been told like later on by like Thumper that like, yeah, and his mom never came back, we assume she died, like it wouldn't have the same impact. And like so it's like this movie's afraid of getting too heavy, but it kind of wants to touch upon it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really have that kind of powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. The other issue I had with this is that there's a montage early on of like what the pets get up to when their owners leave.
Yeah, it was the first trailer for the movie.
Right.
Also, yeah.
And that happens relatively early, and then it kind of isn't addressed again. And like, really, if this is the secret life of pets, like what and look, like, yes, am I unfairly comparing this to something like Toy Story? The first Toy Story movie does a great job of setting this environment and setting that these characters have a world separate but related to the house that they live in.
Yeah.
Right? And they have their own society and their own kind of paradigms that they live by. And this movie kind of half-asses that. And it's, and again, it's fine. It's fine. The screening I was at was a radio promotional screening. There were a lot of kids there. The kids were having a good time. But there wasn't a lot of consistent laughter. Like, it's not...
There's a lot of dry patches.
There's a lot of dry patches. The movie's not a waste of time. It's okay. It's decent, but we're spoiled. And, look, this movie is okay, but I think that there's a missed opportunity. I think that, from the same team of animators, I think from Illumination Entertainment, I think that the first two Despicable Me movies are better and more emotionally impactful.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because they're telling parent stories, and I'm a parent, maybe, but this one, like, it's cute. Like, could this exist? Is this movie any better than it would be if it was a series of, like, 10-minute shorts and, like, all right.
I wonder,
like,
actually.
I don't
That's
know
a good
that
point.
It would be.
No, I wonder because you're right. There was this very appealing quality about that first trailer. It sort of sold people on what the concept was. And then the movie just goes into it has to have a plot, and it has to have a very conventional plot. And that is, it's not that frustrating, but it just maybe doesn't capitalize on what the real charm is. Because I think what the real charm is, there's a pet here for everybody. Like, I think everybody will recognize a pet, whether it was their pet or their parents' pet or something. And I think that's supposed to be the emotional crux, is that you recognize that your dog is always happy to see you when you come home. Therefore, your dog must spend all day wanting to see you. There's something kind of selfish about it, actually. And I know a lot of people who left the theater very excited to go home and hug their pets. And I think that's sweet.
Right.
And I think that's great. But I think that's kind of, again, that's kind of my whole like point with like the whole YouTube generation, where if you want to argue it, like one of the most popular genres of cinema right now are short, funny animal clips.
Right.
And it's because we have a natural sympathy for them. We love our pets. Who doesn't love their pet? Most, I would argue, pretty much everyone. And so it's almost a cheap shot. Right. It's almost kind of obvious. And so they build that affection real early, and then they use that as a setup for, again, a fairly straight up, Oliver and Company kind of adventure. Well, that's probably a bad example, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a straight up kid's adventure. Right. And it's a funny kid's adventure. I like the characters. The rabbit is funny.
We haven't seen before. It's
not particularly, but it has a good comic energy. The guys who do the Despicable Me movies have a really good sense of humor, even though their sense of plot doesn't always work. There's a Minions short that plays before this, and it plays like a Three Stooges routine, but if there were 5 Curlies. Like, that's kind of it.
It's cute.
It's got a good manic energy to it, and it doesn't play like every other kid's comedy right now. The jokes feel well set up. They play. So I laughed consistently. But yeah, it just never quite reaches above quite good.
So your number?
I'm going to give it an 8.1.
8.1.
Solid recommendation, but not rave.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6.5. Probably. Okay. So what does that put us at?
I don't know. Someone average that out and put it at the bottom of the screen.
7 something. Yeah.
It's at 80.
Christy and Alonzo are not here to do math for us. So what do we know?
What's on around the It's like 81.
Yeah, it's in the 80s on the tomato meter. Yeah. Look, like if you think you're going to like this, you probably will. The kids will have a good time.
Yes.
But a year from now, we may not be thinking about this one all that much. So anyway, thank you.